for yesterday, Eyimba Football Club, who are NPFL champions from last season, have been eliminated from the competition in Lagos yesterday after a shock 2-1 defeat at the hands of Katsina United. And of course, the jostle for the semi-final tickets will go down to the very last day as Sporting Lagos 2 defeated Remo Stars by 2-1. Well, after a goalless first half, Katsina United raced into a 2-goal lead inside 2 minutes with Ibrahim Yahaya scoring first in the 54th minute, while Nazifi Yahaya added a second from the spot in the 56th minute. Somalia Lalibo handed the ball inside the box, and of course that was a penalty. Fateh Abdullahi pulled one back for the People's Elephants at the death of time, but that was just a consolation goal as Eyimba crashed out of the competition with 2 defeats and a draw. Well, speaking after the game, Coach Finidi George, the coach of the Eyimba side, said categorically that the boys need to rest, and he's blaming this loss on fatigue, and that's the story. Well, for Eyimba Football Club, NPFL champions, played 18 games in the regular season, the abridged version, and of course went on to play how many games in the Super 6 games, 3 games or thereabouts, and plus or minus they won the competition, and they came into this. They also played the zonal playoffs of the Nigeria Super 8, and of course qualifying for the tournament proper. And this is Finidi George saying, well, we've played too many games already. We need some rest. And that's why, of course, they could not qualify for the next round of the competition when losing 2 games and drawing 1.
Well, I think as a football coach, as a player, you know that these games they're coming thick and fast, sometimes. So I think Finidi George, he has to, give an excuse for his players, and he doesn't have to blame them. So I think calling up fatigue as a reason, maybe he's just trying to, not put his players' head on the slaughter there. But I think if you want to look at it now realistically, Eyimba has had a lot of games. It's time for the players to have a little rest, prepare for the next season where they'll be coming in as defending champions. So I think it's a good one that they have time now to actually rest.
All right, so Blind Akwa United trail Lobby Stars by 2-0 and half-time. Well, the team, the Promise Keepers, after winning the first 2 games, have qualified for the semi-finals. But I was also looking at them being unbeaten in group stages, but it's not going to happen Saturday.
Well, you're saying they're trailing. Doesn't mean it's over now. But a conversation for me, I'm looking forward to probably an equalizer depending on the time left. But basically what it is, at this stage of a competition, I see this competition as a good preparation for next season for the new coach. I think they have to find a way to come back in this one. But at the end of it, Lobby Stars are top side, basically the top side. And Akwa United are in semi-finals right now, but have to find a way to come back in this one. A draw would be fine from my standpoint. But whatever the result, still end of a season sort of football it is, good preparatory tournament, but come on, you look at what they need to do afterwards, after now, is to push harder and try to get the necessary result at the semi-final stage. Who knows what happened? Big money to be made at the end of it, and that's a conversation, Mary.
All right, so that's the conversation from here. We'll look forward to seeing the action as they come in, how thick and fast. In the course of the show, we'll take you through the group stages and how things will be setting up in the course of the show. But let's talk about something else, guys, and it's about Rangers Football Club. Yesterday, there's a story that they released 8 players. With the new seasons fast approaching, the management of the club acted on recommendations of the technical committee and released 8 players from the squad that defended its colors in the previous season. Well, they just had a new coach, right, involved in Fidelis Ilichuku, and of course the accent is so fast and already so swift. Well, let's hope this is not just a case of from WhatsApp messages. Let's look at the players who will be released. Chide Raize is a right back. Jacob John is a left back. Innocent Gabriel is a defensive midfielder. There's Emmanuel Charles, former Akwa United, former Dakara Football Club man, also been released by Rangers Football Club. Ruben Bala, a centre forward, has been released. Adam Musa has been released, as well as Rabiu Adamo and Okoro Onyekuziro. We hope this is not a case of good morning, you're sacked.
Yeah, well, he's saying it like that. A few days ago we were talking about Rivers United also, sending home 10 players. Now today it's Rangers FC. So I think it's a recurring decimal now in the Nigeria.
It will make more sense if we knew that this player's contract, if it was said that this player's contract expired.
Yeah.
It will make more sense if we knew the contract details,
of course,
of these players.
But unfortunately we do not have that in Nigeria right here. You look at in overseas, there you go to England. You look at Phil Jones, this is the amount of years he has left on his contract. David De Gea just, had contract issues. We knew what was going to happen. His contract has expired. We are waiting for a new one. But now we don't even know anything about these Rangers players being sacked, Chidera Eze and all of that. On the whole, I just hope these players have been duly compensated and they are not on the receiving end of any backlash.
Well, Mari, let me add a bit to it. Have looked at the schedule of most Nigerian Premier Football League sides, and it's usually a year contract for most of them.
Yeah.
They just sign for the next season.
1 year, yeah.
And mostly that's what gets to happen. And at the end of the season, they decide if you stay or not. And it could be the conversation for most of these clubs. No wonder they're able to release their players. But I've heard Remo Stars have come out to say Rivers United and some other clubs. I mean, not Remo Stars now. Bielsa United have come out to say Rivers United and some other clubs. I think Remo Stars have been using their players, misusing their players and abusing their players at the Super 8s. And I'm wondering what kind of contracts you guys had. How are they using your players? It's been a conversation in and around the scene, and I saw that yesterday, but it's been that conversation. But from the league standpoint, most often than not, we end up having clubs sign players for probably a year for the season, and then the next season, they tend to improve it and create an extension. But it's not good for football, Marisol. It's not good for the safety of the player, because if you get injured, you get abandoned. There's no security for these players in the course of the season, and that's why football in Nigeria is still dicey. The moment a player has an opportunity to leave the country, whether it's going to Rwanda, you know that at least you're going to have a decent deal, a 4-year contract, 3-year contract, and you can plan your life. And that's the conversation. It's quite sad from a Nigerian point of view.
Well, it's a conversation that's evolving. It has never changed, and we hope it changes very soon. Well, let's talk about something that concerns us, guys. It's a conversation that Blyden brought up this morning while we're talking on WhatsApp, and I think it'll make sense if we discuss it on the show this afternoon. Right, so now here's a conversation. The Super Eagles of Nigeria have been caught short of class and gown in quality in the midfield position in recent games, and the worrying signs are that this may not change anytime soon, and unless talented midfielders are discovered before the start of the AFCON next year, which is so impossible, we'll go into that competition with the lack of creativity in the national team squad. Well, now let's roll back the years. In the past, the Eagles boasted the quality of former captains like Mudashiru Lawal, Henry Wosu, Sunday Olise, Muchia Dekboju, Thompson Oliha, Austin Jejo, Kocha Mikel Obi recently, Busno Ruma, and Christian Obodo, just among others. These were midfielders who are obviously, according to what a lot of people say, are miles ahead of the current crop of players, midfielders, that Pesero has at the national team level. Now, not only did these midfielders make the Super Eagles one of the most formidable teams in that era, they struck fear in the hearts of the opponents, dictated the pace of the game, outclassing and played opponents with their crisp and visionary passes. They were also aggressive, full of awareness, good at exploiting spaces and opposing defenses, scored goals, great chances, and of course made it beautiful to watch Nigeria play football. And of course, we would always not forget about the telepathic combination of Sunday Olise and Rashidi Yekini in those days. Now, fast forward to what we have now. Wilfred Ndidi, loss of form, injury concerns, inconsistency, and all of that. Alex Iwobi, Joe Aribo, players who are not guaranteed of giving you top performance rather, on a consistent basis. And we have not been able to get a consistent box-to-box midfielder in the Nigerian national team. Ndidi's injury woes have been a problem. Alex Iwobi, Joe Aribo, and all of that, not consistent as much as possible. And of course, Pesero has scored up several midfielders. As a matter of fact, 7 since he came in as national team coach. There's Alex Iwobi, there's Wilfred Ndidi, there's Joe Aribo, Ogene Karitibo at some point who scored up, Rafael Onyeka, Frank Onyeka, Innocent Bonke. Recently, Divine Wachugo's Bendel Insurance is well blighted.
Shehu Abdul.
Yeah, Shehu. Well, Shehu is more of a versatile player. Yeah. Plays as a right back, plays as a defender, as a midfielder too. Yeah. There's even Semia Jai, in that mix as well, who plays as a defender and the number 4. But blighted now. Let's do a comparison, if we may, of what we used to have in the olden days, compared to what we have now. The names: Wisdom Ruma, Thompson Oliha, Mucha Dekboju, Heron Wosu. The great Sunday Olise, Christian Obodo, like we talked about, the way he glides crisply, glides to grace in the midfield, JJ Okocha, and most recently, John Mikel Obi.
I think one name is missing. Mr. Gabalawal.
Oh yeah, Mr.
Gabalawal. You have to add it because he played for the national team for so long until some point the commentators had to add Mr. to his name, and he couldn't afford to miss that. But Mari, let me say this. I think, first of all, it's not just about the midfielders, yes, it's about the running of football in the country. But we've gone to that point where we're trying different players every time, different coaches, different players, and it's not quite easy for the national team. But when you look at the opportunities, yes, at least we were sure we have two decent midfielders, a defensive midfielder and attacking midfielder, because you looked over the years, JJ Okocha has been in and around the scene. The conversation was who was defensive for him, JJ and Gabalawal those years. Roma usually on the bench sometimes, but afterward we also had Cristiano Bodo supporting in that middle. The best midfielder, maybe not most glamorous, but while growing up and watching some of these players, one player that caught my heart was Cristiano Bodo, the way he played. He wasn't really moving with the ball, but his blocking system was quite emphatic. But it's been that conversation now. You're looking at some of these players around that still seem like players that are growing, do not really know their onions. It's a conversation and it's quite hard. And the numbers are not adding up in terms of new entry to the national team when it has to do with midfield football. And that's a concern for me. Beyond that, if we have a decent coach that knows how to knit this team, because sometimes what these players played quite good was that they played together for a while. You know, that appropriate blend was there. But now today it's Joe Reba and Alexi Iwobi. Tomorrow it's Wilfred Ndidi.
But at least, you know, this group of players played together for a while as well, because I mean, the past 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 national team games, you either see Iwobi or Aribo or Ndidi or all of them.
Just like at the Nations Cup. I think the conversation for me, maybe we've not had these midfielders that are so solid. Because if you want to talk about a midfielder that has been most consistent in this generation, would be Wilfred Ndidi. But beyond that, it's either to remember the last Nations Cup, Alexi Iwobi was on the bench. There was Kelechi Nwakali, part of that mix, starting games and sometimes coming in. And it's been that conversation in and around the scene, especially the number 10 position. We've not seen a player that comes in and we say, yeah, this is JJ, this is John Mikhail. Yeah, that's been the conversation.
But let's talk about something now. The names to mention, you know, throwback edition, you know, the rollback this edition, you know, the Henry Wosius, the Sunday Odysseus, the Mucha Dekboju, the JJ Okochas, the Garba Lawal. Both of these players were developed in Nigeria, scouted in Nigeria, developed in Nigeria, right? And they made name for themselves.
Players, our midfielders from the league, they will not be able to, you know, be up to terms, up to date. If you play Nigerian midfielders from the league, we bring midfielders from Sunshine Stars and go and play against the likes of Enzo Fernandez. Come on, you'd be battered, butchered, and the likes on the field. So I think it's just about development. We failed in that aspect, and I think we have now had to look outwards, which is. We're suffering in that department right now. You look at in the forward department, the striking, the forward roles. We have players like Gift Toban, Innocent, Victor Innocent. We have different players who have not even been called up yet. Terry Murphy. If these were midfielders, we are sure they would have been called up. So I just think Nigeria is suffering in the midfield department, and we have surplus in the forward department.
Now, before we talk about the surplus and the deficits, still dwelling on the conversation and developments of football in the country, what was invoked then? And how is it not in vogue now?
We had a better age grade competition. In those days, under 17, you can mention the number of under 17 Nigerians won over time. Yes.
No, Blyden, you know, it was over age grade.
Well, no matter how you want to say it, Kanu Nwankwo played football for so long. Yeah, many would say probably he was at 50 years by the time he retired. Many would want to say that, but come on, Mari. The good thing was we were able to spot talents at age grade level. That was a conversation. Age grade competition. Now you see Nigeria's under 20 and you begin to wonder who are the players playing. You see Nigeria's under 17 consistently. It's usually that conversation. So
how about the conversation of the fact that we've been exposed that the players that won the age group competition for us were obviously overage?
Marizona.
The introduction of the MRI scan has
under the MRI scan, Nigeria's won the World Cup under 17. Come on. Victor Osimhen came under that level, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kelechi Iheanacho.
Yeah.
Nwakali.
How many midfielders have sparkled from the Osimhen era? Well, under 17?
Not too many. None. But the strikers are doing
None, actually.
But after that era that they won it, what has happened afterwards? Is it that we do not have quality? Look, Mari, we're talking about the first time Nigeria said we won't be taking players from the league to participate at the under-17 level. John Obi Mikel came from that era. He looks quite young, but he was talented. They couldn't cross at the group stage of the World Cup at the under-17 level. But one thing was for sure, the whole world saw a massive talent. The biggest problem we've had is we've not spotted the talents the way we ought to.
Right, now, let's look forward to what's going to happen next year, because Awoni has come out to re-echo what Pesero said last year, that it's going to make Nigeria great again. They want to win the AFCON.
Yeah.
Can we win the AFCON with Alex Iwobi, Joseph Aribo, and Wilfred Ndidi?
I don't think so. Come on, look at Africa right now. We have boisterous talents everywhere. You go to Morocco, you go to Tunisia, you go anywhere, you find talent. Nigeria is seriously lacking in the midfield department, unless Joseph Pesero, and that's one point now. We don't know where what his style is. You don't know his style of football yet. If he wants to play on the flanks, because right now Nigeria has a lot of forwards. He should focus on playing with the forwards, but we don't know what he wants to do. If he wants to play from the back, play from the front, play from the bench, or whatever he wants, we don't know yet about Joseph Pesero.
Before we bounce, and of course, take calls in like the first batch, of course, people also think, this is a message I just got, that maybe Pesero is not stretching his arms to try out a wide range of midfield talents. That we have them, but bulk of them might not be related to some NFF scribe who can get them in place at the national team, or bulk of them do not have enough money to pay to get themselves in the national team. That we have the talent, but Pesero might not call those talents.
Well, I think it's part of the conversation, Mari, because we're talking about a Club Brugge player. Always forget
Rafael Onyedika.
Onyedika, yeah. I've not seen him with the national team. Looked pretty decent playing the Champions League for them. And it could be one of those players that could solidify the midfield. We're talking about the likes of Bonke. He's not really had a good opportunity to play for the national team.
Played at the AFCON. Just not quite decent.
He had one game.
He just had one game.
The third game, which was a dead rubber.
And we're talking about the qualifiers. He's not given enough opportunities since then. I was quite disappointed during the qualifiers to the World Cup. The guy got injured. He was injured. Wilfred Ndidi wasn't available, remember?
Yeah.
And since then, he's not been called to the national team. And guess who they brought in to play for him at that point? Shehu. At that point, come on, Shehu. Mari, I can't forgive him. But let me just make this point, Mari, about the national team and the opportunities of winning the Nations Cup. The biggest concern for me is not that the team is not good enough. The bigger concern for me is, do we have a decent coach? Because I remember 2013, Nigeria dropped a couple of decent players. Taiwo, what's the name now? The fullback Taiwo. Taiwo at the time was dropped, and Echejele came to the team at that time. And you look at up front, some decent players were dropped, some new boys were called up. But what happened? What changed? Home-based players introduced to the team too. Something changed, the Nigerian spirit. And I look at Africa. Africa is not far ahead away from Nigeria. You can't always separate that from Nigeria. Any moment, if we do the right things, by now we would have won more AFCON than more teams. Anytime Nigeria tries to do the right thing, and we get to try that every decade, and that's why we've been winning the AFCON every decade, once in a decade. I really hope we get to do it next.
All right, so that's the conversation. I hope next year will be the fourth decade of winning the AFCON. All right, it's a conversation. Let's take your calls in right now. 090-2223. 1011 and 0817-624-8565. What is the future of Nigerian and the midfield crisis in the wake of the fact that we've not had decent and impressive players play the middle of the park in comparison to what we used to have in the yesteryears? 090-2223-1011 and 0817-624-8565. Good afternoon, Tolles.
Hi, Chief. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's me, Tolles. Mari, the question he asked other players on phone that whether Nigeria will win the African Cup of Nations with Alex Iwobi, Joe Aribo, and Wilfred Ndidi. Just like asking whether Manchester United will win English Premier League with Fred and McTominay. Just like similar thing that's happening. Just like similar thing, understand? So I think they happen with that. There's no how Nigeria will win African Cup of Nations with Alex Iwobi. Alex Iwobi, Joe Aribo that doesn't have playing time in his club, and Wilfred Ndidi. It's impossible. Look at this guy in club. That's for Onyedika. Why don't you bring that guy in and see what I to offer to Nigeria? And then you're missing people that have not even taken football for a very long time, not because of names. See, if continue using names to play football in Nigeria, we will not go to anywhere. So they should drop names. They should drop names and bring boys that are ready to play football for Nigeria so that Nigeria will win the AFCON. But when AFCON with Alex Mobi, Joe Aribo, and Ufrenjede, I don't see that happening. If it happens, I know it's a miracle.
Thank you very much for talking to us. We're talking about teams like Morocco having Sofia and Amrabat. We're talking about teams like Egypt having tough midfielders. We're talking Senegal with Idrissa Gana Gueye. Top names, Blyden. You cannot boast of that.
Mari, live it. Nigeria can boast of it. Alex Iwobi is a decent player. Some of these boys are decent players. Those countries you're mentioning are not far off Nigeria. You mentioned Amrabat. I was thinking you're going to mention another midfielder in that mix.
Yeah.
You're talking about...
What's the other guy's name?
Ziyech, not the midfielder.
No, not Ziyech. Unahi, that's his name. Unahi.
Andre Unahi. He plays at Olympic Marseille.
Yes.
And so what? And so what? Because Alex Iwobi is a Nigerian.
Do we have the quality? Look at that midfield.
Compared to African countries, yes.
No.
Compared to African countries,
do we have the quality to win the AFCON?
I was thinking you were going to say Onahi that he plays for Real Madrid. He plays for Olympic Marseille. Alex Iwobi plays for Everton.
Blyden, do we have
show respect?
No. I'm not disrespecting the players.
No, I'm talking about everybody.
Let's go back to the last AFCON winners.
Yes.
Senegal.
Yeah.
Right. Idrissa Gana Gueye played for PSG then.
Now he's playing for Everton.
Plays for Everton. It will be teammates, right?
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about...
Iwobi was the best player for Everton last season where he played. Let's mention other names, Mari.
Now, I'll check the midfield position for you.
This guy at the World Cup that got injured at the World Cup. He plays for Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest.
All right, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, he plays week in, week out.
Not about week in, week out. That quality won them the AFCON. Can our quality win us the AFCON?
Absolutely.
Really?
The only part we do not have.
This same quality could not even qualify us for the World Cup.
Mari, Austin Eguavon happened to the national team.
No, come on.
Morocco?
No,
Mari, it's the truth. You can take the role of a coach out of a team. I was listening to Victor Osimhen recently, and Osimhen said we have top quality players. Come on, Nigerian players last season at the club side, most of them were the best players for the club. It's a conversation, Mari. But the point is this: do we have a decent coach that could lead the side? Look at the last Nations Cup. Who did we have? Austin Eguavon.
Yeah, we were crying.
Terrible.
We were crying. You know, after the post-Guinea era, we were crying and wailing. Oh, give us a home-based coach. Look at Senegal; they have a home-based coach. Look at Algeria; they have a home-based coach. Give us a home-based coach. Home-based coach. We had a home-based coach, and boom, it's now his problem.
We didn't have a quality home-based coach.
Well,
that's the conversation, Mari. We also saw what Austin Eguavon did. Look at the qualifiers. Everyone would say the likes of Kelechi Iheanacho were on the bench against Ghana, and he had the guts to play Ahmed Musa and Odion Igalo. Have not forgiven him for that, Mari.
Let's head back to the phone lines before this thing gets interesting. Good afternoon, welcome.
My name is
Come on, add some energy. See the way we're shouting here.
Okay. Well, I've listened to your conversation, very decent and excellent. But I want to make one contribution. Nigeria has a lot of football players, but we do not have a team. That's number one.
To tell us the difference between having football players and not having a team.
Coach?
Yes. Number one. Number two. Winning the AFCON is a tall dream. How? You're going to hire a foreign manager to give you the AFCON. Why? 3, the issues of the NFF will never allow Nigeria to win the AFCON because they are the ones who control those who play football. Those are the ones who control the ones they hire. So until the issues of the NFF are sorted out, that is when Nigeria will have a team. 2, when you carry a politician to hit the glass house, my brother, forget about the trophy. I'm a sport journalist. I do my analysis online, and I am very raw. Get Nigeria an ex-footballer who will run the football very well. Look at how Cameroon is doing with Samuel Eto'o. That is when we will have the conversation on how.
All right.
Samuel Eto'o.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I thank you so much. Thank you so much. I didn't want to drag the conversation, but I want to ask, how is Cameroon doing Samuel Eto'o?
Not fair right now, terribly. The amateur organization
process.
Amateur organization won.
Let's take this call. Let's take this call. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Planet FM.
Welcome, name.
All
All right, go ahead.
The problem we are having in Nigeria is not the players, it's the coach. For some years now, we not have a good coach. They brought in Gennaro, and he was there for how many years? This 5 to 6 years. Nigeria does not have a playing pattern at all. We have the players scattered all over the world. Some of those players are playing in other African countries. You cannot compare them to Nigerian players. Because last season, so many of them did well. Basically, Nacho was doing well for Leicester City. Alex Owi was doing well. So many players did well. But right now, we don't have a coach. I don't know why NFL is still keeping that coach. We don't have a coach. Look at the way. That match, the last match we won, when those guys equalized 2-2, was because the player wanted to win. They were all out. We don't have a playing pattern. The day we have a coach, you will see how Nigeria will play. And with all the players all over the world, if you bring them together, a good coach bring them together and put them, I'm telling you, we'll go back to that night. I remember 1994, we picked the best team in the world. We went to World Cup. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 best team in the world. We have players without a coach. And our administrators are not helping issue at all. They're just, playing with Nigerians' mind. Look at what is happening between NFF and the Super Falcon coach. Just disgracing themselves. So we need a good coach that will bring these guys together and make them to play good football.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, unfortunately, as it sounds, we just cannot separate quality and having a good coach. So Blyden wins this conversation.
Mari, let me just say this.
Right.
As we said to
we have to move on. We have to go calls coming in.
2013 team that won the Nations Cup is not good as compared to the current crop of Super Eagles we have.
So how did they win the African Blyden?
In terms of personnel, they had a coach that managed the team. Put the personnel side by side, player by player, you realize that this current club has better quality than that.
Let's take calls before I drag this conversation because I feel like dragging it. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon. To Planet FM.
Yes, this is Planet Radio. Welcome. Name and location.
The Chris on the line. I'm calling from Cross River State.
All right. How is Cross River State today?
We thank God as well. We give God glory.
Please go ahead, my brother.
First timer.
Oh, welcome to the big family.
Thank you. Blyden, actually, I've been following. There's no that I don't follow this program. And it has been very interesting. I just decided to also be a part today in calling.
Welcome.
Actually, it's important, looking at what Nigeria is, the kind of nation we are, the giant of Africa, and you cannot boast of a quality midfielder. It's a shame to us actually. When you say it all boils down to leadership, I'm thinking so. It all boils down to leadership. When we look at whether foreign coach or an indigenous coach, my belief is that we are not yet ready. It's not that we don't know what to do, we know, but we are not ready to do the right thing. We have everything it takes to have the best team in this world that can beat any team anywhere. We have everything. We have the human resources. We have everything, but we are actually not ready. Corruption will allow us. We hire people we ought not to hire as coaches, and then we also influence the selection of players. There are players in Nigeria here that if we pick them with the right hand, you can do anything. I think that's my own.
Thank you very much for talking to us. Now, I'm not trying to side anybody, and I would never promote the wrong things, right? We won the AFCON in 2013. You're not going to tell me that there wasn't corruption in 2013 in Nigeria. Yeah. You're not going to tell me that the issues of misappropriation of funds and slotting and all of that in national team was not in vogue. So how did we win that national team? And why is corruption the main reason why we haven't moved forward since then?
Mari, let me share a story. In 2013, Nigeria played Ivory Coast, I think it was in the semi-finals.
Yeah.
We took Ivory Coast. The NFF had booked tickets for Nigeria to return after that match. They never thought they were going to beat Ivory Coast. It was that sad.
All right.
But they stood their own and won the game. Mari, it's simple. The gap between other teams and Nigeria isn't huge. Just have a decent coach, and this crop of player will shock Africa.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the show. After this, we talk more. Yes.
Good afternoon. Yes,
Just go ahead.
I want to something concerning Super Eagles winning AFCON. The policy of Nigerian players that we have recently, they are capable of winning AFCON, even back to back. But the issue is that our problem is NFA. The most we have is NFA. If NFA will off their hands or know put their house in order, do the right thing, allow the best coach to handle Super Eagles. I don't think anything for Africa can stand Super Eagles of Nigeria for them. The corruption will not allow. They are too corrupt, bringing coach who does not even know anything to do. To handle Super Eagles. Is it a Super coach win?
Thank you.
Look at the present coach now. Look at the present coach now. Before that, don't have anything. Look at the last match you just did. No, nothing like a pattern. You don't have any pattern. You don't have any structure to play. You don't play like a parent.
All right.
Who will want to? How can you win? It's not right.
Thank you very much for talking to us this afternoon. All right, so while they're saying Samuel Eto'o is the prototype, we hear that a group of amateur clubs are calling for him to resign from his post as president of the Cameroon Football Federation, FECAFOOT, citing grave irregularities in the organization. Last week, Cameroon's Amateur Club Association, the ACFAC, voted 11-1 in favor of asking the full-time African Footballer of the Year to stand down. It said that Samuel Eto'o, who played for several clubs, should resign if he still loves Cameroonian football, as he has always claimed. ACFAC called Cameroon Sports Minister to intervene and mentioned the possibility of asking Gianni Infantino to even intervene. So even what's his name now? Samuel Eto'o is also suffering the same thing. But people also think, like, I don't want to drag this conversation, people just think that Samuel Eto'o has come in to upset the status quo. He's coming to shake up the things, the very dirty things that used to happen, in quotes, dirty things in quotes, in the Cameroon football system. And they're not happy with that. It's a conversation for the coming days. Well, Leon Aderemi Balogun has now officially gone to social media to announce his departure from Queen's Park Rangers. A former Brighton defender joined the Bees last summer. After expiration of his contract, Balogun and Rangers decided to part with a mutual consent following the end of his contract. Well, it's not been defined couple of years for the man who sadly has gone through several injury concerns. He's not been quite consistent. It's a conversation for the coming days. Well, the Chelsea exodus continues, by the way, as we move on to the European stories. Pulisic has committed a move to AC Milan for £20 million. He's 24. Surplus requirements at Stamford Bridge is due to have a medical today. And AC Milan joined Chelsea for £57.6 million from Borussia Dortmund. Never worked out. 26 goals in 145 games with Chelsea. Well, his biggest achievement and what's going to put in his CV is that he played in the final of the Champions League where Chelsea defeated Manchester City. All right, so Blyden, before we talk about the oldest football player, let's tell you that Harry Kane is keen to joining Bayern Munich this summer as the Bundesliga champions consider submitting a third bid for the man. Spurs have offered Kane a new contract, but Kane says, I am not extending. I want to leave. Bayern already made 2 bids for Harry Kane. The second was worth 94 million euros. The club's hierarchy could be tempted to submit an improved bid to get the deal over the line. Now, this man has scored goals. He's just a couple of goals away from hitting the Premier League record all time, particularly. But sadly, his trophy cabinet is as dusty as the back of your shoes, right? Yeah, and sure. It's a sad story. Bayern Munich have come for him. Would Daniel Levy let this man go because this is looking more like bondage than just a contract?
Of course, I don't know. It looks like he's holding the man against his will right there. I don't know why. It looks like trafficking to me.
Please.
Harry Kane, I don't know. Daniel Levy should let the man leave. He has tried for Tottenham. He's a Tottenham legend. He has reached that status as a legend. He has achieved that. Be called for trophy winners, but this man doesn't have a single trophy to his name. Maybe an Aldi Cup and the likes, but he doesn't have a single trophy to his name. I think he should just head to Bayern Munich. Daniel Levy should let the man go to Bayern.
All right, well, Blyden, this is Harry Kane we're talking about. He's a proven goal scorer. He's 29, and Bayern Munich have already offered something close to £100 million, and Daniel Levy is still rejecting. What exactly does he need from Harry Kane?
Well, I think he needs more money. That's basically it.
He's 29 years
when
of
the
age.
right money comes, he's going to let Harry Kane go. It's a conversation. They're marking their time. They want Bayern Munich to bring the money in. It's a conversation the way it is from my standpoint. But I think we're getting to that point. The amount of money is getting higher and higher every day. Likely, Bayern Munich will come with a second bid. But according to what I heard this morning, today would be an opener for them. Ange Postecoglou, the new coach, will start up the job at Tottenham Hotspur. And they're meeting today, and Harry Kane has spoken about telling the man his options, that he's set for all the options, and one of it would be to end the season, next season, as a free agent. And probably, I think Harry Kane, just like the conversation we talked about yesterday, Harry Kane can come out and make it so clear that he's not going to renew his contract. If he makes that clear, it's going to be easy for them to facilitate the deal as fast as possible. Like Kylian Mbappe or not, he set the template on how it should be done. I know Harry Kane doesn't want to be the bad boy, but he wants to get it over the line quickly as possible. Come out and make everyone know that you're not extending your contract and the deal will be done.
All right, so just to add the Leon Balogun story, he's set to rejoin Rangers pending a successful medical at the Ibrox club. He's 35, returns after just a year at Queensbrook Rangers last year, and of course comes back. Well,
it shows how things change.
Yeah, not the biggest of names, Blyden, but it's good that he's getting back to where he got some fresh air, some good memories.
Well, I think the idea is at the end of that season, where they got to the finals of the Europa League, it was basically as if it was a surplus to requirement, with the likes of Bassi being part of that mix. These players have left. Rangers is no more the same team they thought it was, and now they're going back to their ex. Well, Leon Balogun quite good, and in his word is saying it's unreal to return to Rangers because he never thought about it.
I wonder why you made that statement. Now, see the way Fon's face is. Good afternoon, welcome to the show. Going back to your ex. Yes, good afternoon, Victor.
Yeah, I believe we have Emmanuel Guerra in the studio.
Yes, it's Fon and Blyden.
Okay, Fon and Clarence. Marazona, I always declare with great pleasure for us to join in talking football and Planet Radio. Let me say the exciting moment once again for the fans of Akwa Ibom. Never in their history for the pre-season tournament that is ongoing in Lagos State. We have seen what this competition has been able to do and the level of the team that participating. As for Akwa United, the coach, Fatah Oshio, is doing well for them to win 2 matches in a row in a neutral ground. So what I'm really seeing for this team is Akwa United are really improving under the coach. And I believe the 6 million that they have cut in the 2 games is going to motivate them. Their match today against either the team they played, I wish Akwa all the best. But let me say something that the transfer market window in English League is getting very hot. So some of the players are going to Saudi Arabia, but we speak in English. So my team Chelsea should do well to get players for the next season. That's my thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Victor, for talking to us. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, sports analyst. Let me comment on the issue of the Super Eagles who are not doing well. Here there's a lot of comments. Some people are giving their own idea that it is the coach that makes the Super Eagles do not perform. Because I heard you people mention a lot of successful midfield in the far back that help the Super Eagles to perform well when it comes to the competition. I am totally disagree with those who say that corruption, we don't have the coach. I am disagree with them. I say that we don't have the quality in the Europe. Take a look at Algeria, Egypt, Morocco. Those are the recent teams that they perform well. If you want to look around the Europe, you will see their star players scatter around. And some of them are playing in the top level of teams in the Europe, Spain, Italy, and France. Let them come out and tell me who they push.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Easy. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, for that, I'll particularly ask you, what do you see yourself? What do you see yourself doing at 56?
At 56, I should probably be in a holiday at Maldives with,
About the rest now, Blyden, this man is 56. Kazuyoshi Miura, he's the world's oldest professional footballer. And he's not retiring yet, so he decided to stay in Portuguese second division side Oliveirense. He's an ex-Japan striker, joined Oliveirense on loan in January from Yokohama. And will continue with them on that basis for an undisclosed duration. Well, last year, or this year rather, he's played just 28 minutes of football time, and it's been 3 substitute appearances. And Yokohama and Oliverense Badu have the same Japanese owners. But this man, at 56, is still playing football. Like, what do you make of the story?
Well, I'm impressed. It's been forthcoming. Every year we talk about him, and the world is hoping on when he'll retire from football at the age of 56, official age, because there are many that played up to 50s, and it wasn't the official age. And at some point, they were playing high-level football. I wouldn't want to mention names. I knew some of them in Africa, Mari. But the conversation is... I love the look from Mari now. But the conversation is...
I'm not a fan of violence this afternoon, so I wouldn't want you to call anybody's name, because you have to prove it.
Well, I wouldn't dare to even call a name, Mari. It's our secret. But the conversation is this man is absolutely phenomenal for one fact that he's still making the number at the age of 56. His 36th season in football, and it makes a lot of sense.
Well, this man began his career with Santos in Brazil in 1986.
Yeah. Has
been at Yokohama FC since 2005, although had a loan spell 2002. He's played in Italy, Croatia, and Australia. And he scored 55 goals in 89 games for the Japanese football team. And he played his career with the Japanese football team ended 23 years ago. And he has said that he wants to play until he's 60. That's an interesting conversation. Yeah.
Before we leave this, let me make this statement. Finally, have seen a record Cristiano Ronaldo cannot break.
But let's not drag that man in, because that man can get angry and play till 75.
He said he wants his son to join him playing football.
Yeah.
But I dare him to blow up to 56.
Ronaldo, you have 2 years to reply to what Blind has said. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Afghan.
No foreign coach have done the needful. I mean, develop local talent, pick them from their village, furnish them. Mary, don't you see somebody like Kennedy George, Malala Munika, and Dan Zipu, they were just a product of workshop. Nigerian disciples are foreign spies. Our foreign coaches are just chasing shadow money. But I didn't hear good news pertaining this guy, Samuel Leto. I like he has a if you not allow it to be a public teaching, it's not good. Finally, money, the so-called Arab billionaires are owing like this and city money. I mean, what they've got for the sale of Ahmed Musa, that Sisa have reported them to FIFA, and FIFA have paid the sanction against them. How are the mighty falling? Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Top Gunner, for talking to us. It's 87 minutes, and Maguire United are still trailing Louis Stars by 2-0. Well, this might just be how it ends. Let's talk more transfers. Paul Labile Pogba has become a subject of interest from Saudi Arabian clubs, and the deal is worth 100 million euros, and that's the story. What this man's physical condition has been a thing, but despite all of that, Saudi Arabians are looking to sign the man. All the same, we hear that Conor Gallagher has been shortlisted as a replacement for Pierre-Emile Højbjerg at Tottenham. Now, Blindy, you want to take a Conor Gallagher?
You think Tottenham is a serious team? Højbjerg?
I just pity
Gallagher.
I pity Harry Kane. Good afternoon, welcome to the show. Football fans, great to have you.
Yes, good afternoon, Marizona.
Welcome, Ifyok Domingo.
Yes, Marizona, Harry Kane knows that players that leave Tottenham Hotspur, they go to court before they can leave. The right of the capacity. So he's not the first person that is happening to.
All right.
The fact is that people don't value good people. People use good people. And again, I've been so submissive to Tottenham Hotspur. At the time, he's too good for my liking.
Thank you.
You can't see the reason that Levy is just something and, dealing with that guy the way he's treating the guy.
Thank you very much.
You have to stop training and all of that before you can do. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. All right, so let's take comments from the live feed. We've got loads of comments. Kelechi Aniga says, good afternoon, sports grid. Last time we won the AFCON, we did that with a local coach and quality of players we have now. It's all better than them. I strongly believe we can win AFCON with the right coach and good football administrators, not with those who we have currently as coaches and administrators. So Beryl Joseph says, for me, I don't agree with Gavon. Is that bad? Played 6 crucial games, won 3, lost 1, drew 2. 50% win rate, lost only 1. With the FIFA rule on offside, Siemens goal in Abuja would have taken us to the Mundial. We should have allowed him to stay on. Just trust him to come good in subsequent games. So right now, we have to trust Peseiro. He could get us as far as the semi-finals. Well, Sabero will continue by saying we have a midfield deficit in the Super Eagles. The only consistent performance Alex Iwobi, at least he plays regularly, sparkles with quick and creative passes. However, he needs help. He has tried. He's been our playmaker in the Super Eagles. In fact, it was his upsets that made Ghana qualify for the World Cup. Unfortunately, indeed, he's a shadow of himself when he should be at his peak. This is why we cannot boldly say we are challenges at the AFCON. Daniel Boniface says, please, thank you for always updating us with sports. Keep up the good work. God bless you. God bless you too. Joseph Eden says Nigeria can win with it to the team. Now they have a lot of experience. Also, Francis Namani says, keep up the good work. Gary Memo says, please update you on United transfers. And yes, Ian Mike Jr. says, so happy for United to be coming back for preseason today. Yeah. Please, Mary, tell Blind I would love to host him someday for happy hour. Interested. Savior Fabian says, will update me on my United transfers. Andy Wisdom Marcus says, tell Chelsea, as they were so fast in selling, they should be very fast in buying. Todd Bowley. Don Fabian says, good afternoon, guys. Keep up the good work. Please update for Liverpool transfers. We'll take a few calls in and talk transfers. Well, as we are making preparations to bounce, well, this is a trophy the Harry Kane will win at least. Barca will take on Tottenham in the One Gamper Trophy. The club announced yesterday.
Are you sure they will win that? It's Barcelona.
Kane is going to score 15 goals in that game. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Mari.
Oh, okay.
Mari.
Okay.
Mari, you normally make me think and grow gray hair in Nigerian football. You know what is in Nigerian football? Adi is there telling you what is wrong in Nigerian football. You don't want to accept. Mari, help us. Help us. Bring us out from this pit which Nigeria already fallen into. Westerhoff is still in Nigeria. Don't forget is still in Nigeria. You, a child, will pass exam if you have a very good teacher. But you see a bright boy passing exam. Nigeria can never do anything without a good coach. And the problem of Nigerian football is NFL. They want cheap article. They go and carry cheap coach to come and coach Nigeria. Nigeria have traditional style of football.
All right, wrap it up for us.
Westerhoff knows it.
Thank you. Okay.
Look, Stephen Keshi is a product of Westerhoff. Stephen Keshi is a product of Westerhoff. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Yoki. Well, guys, as we bounce blinded, one more question for you as we move. Sunday Olise, Mikel Obi, Wilfred did it in their prime. Choose one.
Sunday Olise, Mikel Obi, and who?
Wilfred did it in their prime. In their prime. In their prime.
It's not a question, Mary. John Obi Mikel. He can throw the pass. He can guide the ball. He can do the touch. He's so decent a player.
Oh, sorry, Mary does indeed have a prime. I don't know. I've never heard of prime. When was his prime?
Absolutely. He has. Come on.
Well, did he have
one good season or two good seasons?
Well, that was his prime.
Yeah,
that was his prime.
The man is 26 years old. This is supposed to be his prime.
He's injured. He's been injured. Come on.
Well,
please, we shouldn't put his name with those
just wants to start a new conversation.
No, we shouldn't put his name there.
Let's take this one call and bounce. Von Vex. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show. All right, I think that's it. Well, thank you, Blyden, for being a part of the conversation. Today's Wednesday.
Yeah, it
feels like Friday.
It's Wednesday, Mary. Don't be ahead of yourself.
Feels like Friday.
It's Wednesday.
I want the weekend already.
No, come on.
I'm already tired.
No, come on, you're not.
Right, so thank you, Ford, for coming around as well. Please buy a charger. Thank you very much. Well, my name is Marizona, and I'll see you tomorrow by 7:30. Have a lovely Wednesday. We'll have David Praise come through right now for Planet Rush Show, and from there we'll have by 8 to 10 it's going to be Simon with the Y for the Happy Hour Show. So there's a lot to expect on Planet Radio 101.1 FM. So do you want to enjoy the rest of the day's broadcast?